Huey. It's Monday, January 6th. Welcome back. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill. I almost didn't remember how to start the show. I almost started with a welcome back. I'm not kidding you. I was like, what do I do here? What button do I press? Oh, gosh. Thankfully, I'm not alone. My name is Nick Artman, and I'm thankful he's not opening the door. I'm joined by Mr. Clean, Paul Adams. Zach, how you doing, buddy?
I don't get that reference. Why am I not opening the door?
Because you were, what did he say? I'm opening the door. I'm done, bruh. I figured as a Dolphins fan, you'd be right on top of that.
Oh no, I feel his pain. I also want out.
Oh, anyway, in the big chair, the great and powerful Rich Smith. Rich, what's up, buddy?
Not bad. I said it was hard to get out of bed this morning.
Listen, first show since pre-Christmas. That alarm hit hard this morning, man.
Yeah, it was louder than normal, I think.
It went off. So I have it on my, it's my phone on my nightstand because we don't have alarm clocks anymore. I grab it, I snooze it, and I just set it on my chest, and it went off again. Like it was one of those mornings.
Oh yeah.
Do your thing, come out of the bathroom, get ready to leave, and my wife goes, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Well, I got to go back to work today." Oh.
Who dare?
Yeah. And it's not just the three of us. Thankfully, we have Jonathan Williams from the Gem City Sports Network hanging out this morning. Jay Will, what's up, buddy?
Nothing much, man. Yeah, my alarm got me this morning, too. I had this whole plan to go work out at 7 a.m. and get a good workout in and come into the pod. Yeah, I didn't get out of bed until about 8:15, 8:20. Throw on my clothes to head down here. Yeah, it's been one of those mornings already.
Well, we're happy to help you set those fitness goals here.
Yes, I also plan to work out this morning, and unfortunately that didn't work out.
Well, if you're looking for that workout advice, you can always follow us. We have joined the Gem City Sports Network, so follow us at Gem City SN anywhere you have your socials. All right, enough about us. We got a lot to get to here this morning. The college football playoff semifinals are set, with Penn State and Notre Dame advancing to the Capital One Orange Bowl on January 9th after victories over Boise State and Georgia, respectively. To help us break down Penn State versus Notre Dame, we have, and we welcome back, T-Frank Carr from Blue White Illustrated. What's up, buddy? How you doing over there in State College?
I'm doing well. I have to laugh because you guys were talking about your alarms. I'm even worse. My wife is my alarm. So she has clients, and one of them canceled because we got a big snowstorm. That snowstorm that came through here that kind of missed us, but still affected some people. Yep. So I woke up thinking I was waking up at 6 o'clock. It was 7:05. So I am wildly unprepared. I have a live show in an hour, less than an hour, and oh boy, it's been a fun morning.
Well, I can tell you what, your least prepared is still better than our most prepared. So that's why we need you. We thank you for taking the time to come out and hang out with us this morning. So let's set the stage then. We'll get you warmed up for your show here in about an hour. Where can people catch that show?
Yeah, you can check it out, Blue White Illustrated on YouTube. That is where we are live. It's supposed to be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but because they keep playing on Tuesdays and Thursdays and not Saturdays anymore, we're live at 10 a.m. today. We're live at 10 a.m. or maybe a little bit later in the day on Wednesday because availability down in Florida for the Orange Bowl, and then TBD on the back end because, again, they play on Thursday. I'm a creature of habit. I like to have, consistency. And when Sunday's my Wednesday and Saturday's my Monday and everything feels like it's been upside down for 3 weeks, oh my gosh, it's been a month this past week.
Oh man, I know what you mean. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to slow down here anytime soon.
We'll see. Either it will slow down immediately or it will keep going and increase. The fever pitch will increase. So we'll see. It's going to be a good game on Thursday for sure.
Yes. So let's talk about this game. Number 6 Penn State versus number 7 Notre Dame. Thursday, 7:30 on ESPN. you could look at this game 1,000 different ways. You could look at it from Notre Dame's stout defense going up against Drew Aller. Is, Abdul Carter going to be healthy for this game? What's going on there? So I want to leave it open-ended. What do you think? What is T-Frank's key to this game for Penn State if they have a shot over Notre Dame?
Yeah, so I got through the Georgia game this morning.
Okay.
And so when I started that game and the way Notre Dame started on defense, I thought, okay, it's been a good season for Penn State because that defense, oh my gosh, their D-line is active and aggressive. Their secondary is big and long and physical. And then as the game went on, you started to see kind of some of the holes start to appear.
Sure.
And so I think it's going to be a more even game than when I first turned on the film. And then there's, always going to be things that show up later on when you do more film study, you watch more games. And so I think to me, the biggest thing is going to be, and I hate to do this, but yeah, Drew Aller is going to be a difference maker in this game.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have to make some plays, and and not just with his arm. For a team that wants to play as much press man coverage as they do, Notre Dame plays more man coverage than anybody in college football by almost a wide margin. So Penn State is in the top 5. They play 10% more cover 1 man coverage with a deep free safety than anybody else in college football. Wow. So that means if the passes are not available, his legs are going to be massive, and getting out of the pocket, being able to extend plays, avoid pressure, and then break, contain, and get yards. He's shown that, I call it cover 1 and run. Sean Clifford was great at cover 1 and run, where you see, okay, first read isn't open. I'm going to start looking for rush lanes pretty quickly. And when you void the middle of the field, and even if you have a QB spy, that much athleticism in space is hard to cover.
Yeah.
So Drew Aller being able to evade a linebacker, I absolutely expect them to have a spy.
Well, yeah,
but that's
absolutely.
something I think is going to be a big part of this game is Drew Aller's legs, and then what he can do with his arm and his mind to beat this defense.
It sounds crazy. Well, it sounds obvious when you're like, oh, I think the key of the game is going to come down to the 2 quarterbacks, but it is. I mean, I think in maybe different than any other college football game I've watched this year, that can Aller continue his upward trajectory? Is Riley Leonard's dual threat ability going to be a problem for Penn State defense? I mean, I don't disagree with you there at all.
And I do think that, just to throw this in there, the results weren't there because of what happened right before the first half with Penn State and those drops for touchdowns. But Drew Aller was dealing and throwing the ball into tight windows last week. I think there was a little bit, he always gets off to a little bit of a shaky start, in my opinion, in terms of he's not stone cold with his reads right away. It takes him a little while to kind of get into the flow of the game. But 2-minute, fourth quarter, this is the game. Obviously, it's the last one before the championship. It needs to be Drew Aller makes those big plays and they come through.
Yep.
This is not a game for, you missed 1 or 2. You got to hit these ones against the Notre Dame defense that will give you opportunities, but not many. So when you get them, you have to take them.
Well, I know I'm looking forward to it. T-Frank, we got about a minute left. Are you able to stick around for another 10 minutes? We just got a lot to go through here. I don't want to hold you up for your show. You can be honest with me. You can be honest with me.
I won't be honest with you, but yes, I will stay because this is a great warm-up.
Well, I owe you then. So what I want to do when we get back is I want to kind of focus on the defensive side of things, looking at the defense for Penn State going up against Riley Leonard and then offense. And then what is, getting into Abdul Carter's status. I know he probably put out my favorite tweet that I've seen with the Darth Vader back to tank. Did you guys see that?
I had to break that down for people in our chat because we have a slightly older audience on the YouTube channel. And yes, I had to give a full breakdown of Star Wars lore on the YouTube channel. It was quite entertaining.
Dude. As the token geek in the room, that is just wrong.
Sorry, I fill many roles on our show. I'm also a salesperson and I do our graphics. So I've learned you got to do all the things if you want to survive and keep swimming.
Yeah. Well, and it's true too, because it's okay, well, what is it? Maybe we'll do that. Let's break down. I want to hear this. We'll break down Abdul Carter's back to tank tweet here coming up. All right. We got to get out of here. Hang on. We'll be right back. We're going to keep T-Frank talking about some Penn State football. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill. Welcome back. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill. We begged T-Frank to hang out with us for another segment, even though he's got a lot going on this morning. So send him some love, give him a follow, subscribe. T-Frank, you still running that special?
Yeah, $1 for a week, and then you can decide if you want to join BlueWhiteIllustrated.com full time for a year. It's a great time. I mean, you can't get a better time than a playoff run to try us out, and then of course it's the beginning of the year, right? We're a week into 2025, so you're setting yourself up for success for a full year. Because here's the thing: but the fact that they're still playing till January. Winter conditioning starts in February, so there's no break. Like, we're going right into spring football, right into commit season for 2026 class, and then football
Dates
season is like right around the corner. There is no off season, there is no break, so you're not going to be like, oh, it's the end of the season, I'm not going to really get any value. We provide you value 24/7, which is why I lost all my hair in the last 3 years.
And go ahead and pitch. You got a live stream coming up at 10 o'clock. Go ahead and pitch that again as well.
Yep, the Blue White Illustrated YouTube channel will be live at 10 a.m. Myself, Sean Fitz, and Nate Bauer, the experts at BlueWhiteIllustrated.com. We're going to be talking about James Franklin's press conference. We're going to preview the game. We're going to do this, but I will be in Nick's seat, and then we'll be asking those experts about what they know about Penn State football and the last 72 hours of recruiting, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, always fun.
T-Frank, I had a couple of questions for you, but you kind of took away we talked about the X's and O's question. I wanted to talk about the one-on-ones that we're going to see on the outside and how Aller and the offense can take advantage of it. This one's just kind of a bone in my craw. Everyone talks about Penn State's easy road, SMU and Boise State. And I say easy road with the air quotes. I know this is radio. No one seems to be talking about ND's path. Indiana, who many say shouldn't have been in the playoff, and Georgia without its starting quarterback. Why aren't we seeing more talk about their road?
Because they play Georgia, because a Big Ten team and Georgia. And, watching that film the last couple of days, Georgia's secondary has some issues, like missed assignments, mental busts. I was expecting one thing and kind of got another from the Georgia defense specifically. But also because just that's what it's cool. Like, Marcus Freeman doesn't have the albatross of whatever James Franklin's record against Notre Dame or against Michigan and Ohio State is. So he gets a pass on these conversations. And Notre Dame, generally, they've been to a playoff. They play the ACC, but do they play like the ACC is different? Like, we have this conversation about Power Four, and then it really is the SEC, and it is the Big Ten. That's how it's gone. That's what it's going to be in the future. So, like, it is partly James Franklin, and it is partly the fact that they play the Georgia team that has that moniker of respectability around them, that aura of the helmet scouting. You fear that helmet, as opposed to SMU. What is this, 1982? What are we doing?
Well, I think that's part of it, though, is the fear of the helmet. A lot of people feared Alabama for years, too. And the whole SEC was, I'm not going to say it was a down year. It wasn't a bad year in the SEC, but it certainly wasn't there's the SEC, and then there's a massive drop-off, and then there's everyone else.
Here's the thing. There are not 12 teams that are competitive. This is not the NFL.
Right.
So there are not 12 teams that can win a college football playoff national championship. We opened it up to 12. And so we're going to complain about the bottom teams the entire time, because
that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah. So 4 wasn't enough. 12 is probably too many, but I would rather have 12. I would rather have the last month of football in terms of the entertainment factor.
Absolutely.
And now you've got, it's not chalk, right? So 1 and 2 are out. 4 is out. 3 was out, right?
Top 4 are out, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, it is providing the upsets that you're looking for because of the way the seeding works. But Penn State was the 4th ranked team in the nation to end the season. So the whole system is stupid, but I would rather have this stupid than I would have the other one, which gave us the unknown, we don't really know.
Yeah.
Okay, so T-Frank, just in your opinion and your plainest thoughts, what's it going to take? What's it going to take for Penn State to get the job done? What's it going to take for them to beat this Notre Dame team that looked really good against UGA, especially early in that game?
So I think that the defensive line, oh my gosh, this is just, so James Franklin said this on Saturday, where these two teams are built very similarly. And he was talking about from kind of a program building, a philosophical perspective, but the X's and O's are also eerily similar. I mentioned the defensive coverage. Penn State's defensive line should have an advantage against Notre Dame's offensive line because they're a little banged up and they're not very strong on the interior. I'm currently making a thumbnail for our show with Abdul Carter, and the dark side is the pro. So Abdul Carter, his dark energy to bring himself back from the abyss and play in this game and play well is a huge differentiating factor because he will be the best defensive player on the field on either side and can wreck Notre Dame's plan of attack through their passing game. But from that perspective, it's going to be kind of what Penn State's seen all year. Quick slants, a lot of underneath stuff, and then they'll take some shots down the field. Containing Riley Leonard, these are all basic football things. Like, there's not anything that I've seen so far that is going to be like, oh, here's the key. I would say the other thing is Penn State has been better in man coverage because it's all going to come down to this, right? Unless Notre Dame changes something significantly. Both teams like to play man coverage. Penn State, I have to give them a little more credit, especially Trey Wallace, has been better in man coverage than I expected when I went and I actually looked at the data. There is that perception that Penn State's receivers have not been good against single coverage. And that it's true in the sense that almost none of them have catches in man coverage, but the ones that do have been very good. Tyler Warren, Nick Singleton, Trey Wallace, those guys have been very good when you give them one-on-one matchups.
Yeah.
Finding the right leverage, finding the right play. I asked him about that on Saturday in terms of when you're looking at a defense that's going to give you the go ball, like they're going to play middle field safety, they're going to have press corners, and that is screaming throw deep down the sideline, right? But the point is that is a low percentage throw. They're giving you that intentionally. It's a big play if you get it, but the odds are you won't. So how do you know when to take that shot? Can you make that shot? And how do you force the defense to give you something else? And I think that is access to the middle of the field is going to be big, whether it's Aller's legs or whether it's routes over the middle, Tyler Warren over the middle. And I think Nick Singleton is going to be huge in this game because out of the backfield receiving, I think those linebackers are the key to taking advantage of this Notre Dame defense. Yeah,
and I think when you have, that Penn State's run game, that two-back system, you're going to wear down that defensive line of Notre Dame. Like, you can't – it's not like the starting back comes off and, okay, you can take a play off. No, I mean, him and Singleton and Allen have both just been playing lights out this year.
Yeah.
Does Tyler Warren neutralize Xavier Watts or vice versa?
That's an area in matchup that I was wondering kind of this myself. They play a pretty traditional field and boundary. So it depends on which side of the field you're on. And that's going to be the matchup and where Andy Kotelnicki earns his money is how do I get Tyler Warren not on Xavier Watts? Because you can do motions and shifts. If they decide to have him travel, then you have a defined free and strong safety, right? Okay. And so that decision by Notre Dame and the matchup of how Penn State gets Tyler Warren, maybe even on a linebacker based on the alignment and the coverage. And they've done a lot of stuff with unbalanced formations, 4x1s, 5x0s. You can kind of, especially against man coverage, you can tailor your matchup to make it what you want. So I think they're going to do everything they can to get him away from Xavier Watts, but also Notre Dame's defense, the way they played against Georgia, they really did not specifically match up. It was the motion determined who was deep and who was in man coverage. So they've got some versatility back there, but that's going to be a big variable for me to start the game is how is Notre Dame using Tyler Warren as the fulcrum of building their defense this week?
Nope. I think that's all good stuff too. Definitely something to keep looking at as we move into Thursday. T-Frank, I want to let you go. We've taken up way too much of your time today, and you've been way too kind to us this year. And hopefully we can keep talking Penn State as we move into, like you said, spring and hopefully a national championship game as well. So why don't you go ahead and quick pitch that where they can find you and then where we can watch that live stream at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, appreciate that. BlueWhiteIllustrated.com. That's the place to go to talk to me all the time. On the Blue White Illustrated message board, you sign up now for $1. You get a week of access to try us out. But coming up in 35 minutes. Oh, Lord.
I'll get you out of it. See, you got to go.
YouTube. Just Blue White Illustrated YouTube. Just search us there.
All right, man. We'll be tuning in. Thank you so much for taking the time this morning.
See you guys.
I think this is going to be a great game.
I can't wait.
I am so excited for this game. I mean, two evenly matched teams. I talked about it being quarterback versus quarterback, but
it's defense and run game versus defense and run game. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's throwback football.
How much of if Carter's not in this game, I think that like T-Frank kind of
he's the best player on the field when he's out there. So it obviously affects the game, but who's the backup? Smith. I was just
couldn't
reading
even
his
tell
name
you.
this morning.
Yeah.
He's played a couple
He's
of
played
times
well.
in spot duty, and he's played on both
Yes.
sides
Yeah.
of the defensive line. He's okay. He's a big body guy. I think he's a 5th-year senior, so he's been around a while.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's an NFL guy, but I mean he's not terrible. But I mean you replace. I mean Abdul Carter is a top 5 draft
Right.
pick, so
Right.
like him leaving the game affects it.
Yeah. Now, Jonathan, you are our resident defensive specialist. Your specialty, that's specialist and specialty in one.
Yeah.
It's a new word that I'm creating here in January 2025.
Bushism, yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh, don't compare me to that guy. What do you think? Like, how do you take a defensive approach against a guy like Riley Leonard?
You have to contain, like, you have to keep him in the pocket. Obviously you're going to spy him. You're going to keep him from kind of hurting you with his legs, which is easier said than done. You have to have a more athletic linebacker spy him, somebody that can't get outrun if he steps up in the pocket and decides to break left or right. But honestly, it's going to be on your defensive ends, whoever winds up playing for you, and your D-line as a unit. Rush integrity. You have to stay in your rush lanes. You cannot get outside of your lanes. If you're supposed to be outside contained as a defensive end, you can't try to win inside. Because if you win inside and you give up an edge and you break contain, Riley Leonard is going to be able to hurt you moving the pocket and getting outside.
Yeah.
If you keep him in the pocket and force him to be a pocket passer, you take away a dimension of his game, and then it's up to your back end. Like we just heard, they play a lot of man free.
Yeah.
They play a lot of man coverage, so it's winning one-on-one matchups in man-to-man coverage, and that's going to be kind of the determining factor of the passing game.
It's going to be fun.
Can you win your one-on-one?
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Penn State, Notre Dame, Thursday, 7:30, Capital One Orange Bowl. Check it out on ESPN. Before we take our next break, I want to take a second and thank all of our sponsors: Quick Fill, Duskus Funeral Home, Jobber Auto Supply, John's Wildwood Pizza, Denny's Sales and Service. Without them, we wouldn't be here for you. When we get back, we're flipping the script. We'll get back into some North Shore Rewind. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill. Welcome back. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill. We moved some stuff around today. You know, when you have a big story, you got to lead with the big story. And right now, Penn State, Notre Dame is all you're going to hear about this week until we get to NFL playoffs. Excited to have T-Frank Carr join us. He's got a busy morning. Appreciate that guy. Give him a follow on socials. Check out his live stream at 10 o'clock. We appreciate him coming in. But we still have a lot of local things to get to. You're listening. Well, no. It's weird. See, I'm all out of order because North Shore Rewind usually comes first, and then we did college, and blah, 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 blah. So let's jump into the North Shore Rewind, brought to you by Duska's Funeral Home. All right, we built in this segment through the football season, so let's keep it going through basketball. Not that we have to pick basketball, but we're going to go around the horn, pick our players of the week, some athletes that have really stood out so far through the Christmas season and now into 2025. Paul, I'm going to come to you first. Who has been your standout player of the week so far this year?
Well,
let's just do this week. Sorry, not this year. Yeah,
I was going to say you changed the,
I did.
the prompt on me.
I'm just talking on the fly. I just like to keep you on your toes. That's
Clearly.
He's one of those guys that says, "See you next year" on January on December 30th.
How did you know?
All right. Well,
Sorry,
I listed 3 players because I figured we'd go around the horn.
Yep.
Not all
We'll
of
go
them
one at
are
a time.
basketball players, but the first guy I want to talk about is a basketball player, and I got to go with my guy, Kenny Godoy from Girard. Dropped a 40-piece on Saturday night that highlighted the Yellow Jackets' 84-61 victory against Erie First Christian. This coming off a big loss to Cathedral Prep. I think that had the Yellow Jackets pretty fired up.
Yeah.
Godoy, only the 4th player in District 10 this season to hit that 40-point mark, joining Leah Carup of Wilmington, Austin Hansen of Eisenhower, and Katie Bowl from Franklin.
I should have went first because that was mine too.
Yeah.
I figured. I'm glad you came to me first.
His highlights from that game right now.
I mean, Godoy, we talked about him last week. Listen, maybe I need to find this drop. Every time I read his name, I just think of like an Ace Ventura, like, Godoy.
All right, you got one there.
But he's playing out of his mind. The team is 6-2 overall, 2-0 in league play, putting up just under 60 points a game. Girard was a great story last year. It was so much fun to cover them last year, and it looks like they're picking up right where they left off. Their next game is tomorrow at Northwestern, who's 4-5, and then 0-1 in league play at 7:30. All right, Jonathan, who's yours?
All right, I gotta go with probably the next highest scoring performance on the boys' side. I'm going Tanner Ashton from Mercyhurst Prep. Dropped 30 in a 78-67 win over Corey. So 30-point performance as a high school basketball player is something that's going to have you the talk of the school for the entire week, for sure.
Unless you're Kenny Godoy. Right. But no, I always think that's so impressive too. That's what's so fun to go through these. And if you're ever looking for local standout sports, head over to goerie.com. I know Mike Copper puts together every week. He puts together the top performances of the week, and it's so much fun to go through those and read through those, standout athletes. But yeah, as you're talking about, I mean, 30 points in a game, like
it's
high school basketball games are like short games, 32 minutes.
There's not that much offense in high school basketball games, and I mean,
no shot clock, so possessions tend to take a while.
Exactly. Yep. So when you're scoring 30 points as a high schooler, like you are actually really filling it up, like you're really getting to it.
Yeah, and Mercyhurst Prep is having an okay year. I mean, they're playing 500 ball right now, 1-2 in league play. They're only putting up about 46.5 points a game. Most probably coming from. Go ahead, I cut you off.
I was just going to say, Coach Barrow will figure that team out by season's end. They will be playing top-notch basketball.
Yep.
Especially defensively.
Yeah. Isaac and I talked about this last week on Gem City Sports. If you missed last Thursday, go back and check it out on the podcast channel or on YouTube. But, this is that time of the year where, sure, you could look at the standings on Go Erie and you could see where there's starting to be some separation. Mm-hmm. But this is the point of the season where none of that really matters. It's from here now. Absolutely. Right. It's gonna change everything as we move forward. All right, here I got one. Michaela Presser-Palmer. I feel like we can talk about her every week. Yep. You guys had a great interview with her. You were part of the interview when you brought her on Gem City a couple weeks ago. If you missed that, go back and check it out. Just a great person to talk to. She was a great interview. Just seems like she's got it all figured out. But she puts up 33 points, outscores the entire team against Northeast in a 54-28 win. The Northwestern Wildcats, they're 10-0, 3-0 in league play. They play tonight at Eisenhower, tip off at 7 p.m. But MPP, she gets better and better every week.
Yeah,
every week, and she's got another year.
Yeah, she's super talented, man. And it's going to be fun to see post high school career where she winds up and how her career takes off, because she's got a future for sure.
She's going to get looks. Absolutely. And like you said, she's only a junior putting this up. Oh my gosh. All right, Paul, you said you got another one.
I have a non-basketball one. Okay. Yeah. Maybe the biggest guy on this list. How about the 285-pound John Duran out of Fort LaBeouf? For the Bison was the largest of their 5 individual victors en route to their team title at Meadville's Tool City tournament over the weekend. That's a big wrestling tournament in the area. The 100-win senior went 3-0 on the weekend, defeating Kyle Suri of Mercer with a 5-0 decision in the championship.
And they were looked at to maybe have a bit of a down year this year.
They were expected to rebuild, but Duran, we knew coming back, he was an all-state wrestler last year. He was going to be the leader of the team, and he has really taken that role on and did a nice job this season.
You know, we talked about this before last year, and I'll say it again this year. Everybody likes to talk about football.
Sure.
But Erie is just as big of a basketball. And if your school's not into basketball, then you're a wrestling program. I mean, it's just
if you've been to a wrestling tournament around just this area, we're a big time wrestling town. And like wrestling, I look at wrestling almost like the wing tee in football. It's a cult. Okay. People who are into wrestling are into wrestling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's so much fun going to, like, I'll go to GM for a match or something like that. Okay, good. Oh, well, sorry. I'm all thrown off here. I'm looking at times. I'm like, am I over? Am I under? But no, I love going to GM for a match, and they do this at a lot of high schools, but they put the mat in the center of the arena, in the center of the gym, turn the lights down, and just that one spotlight over top. I'm like, this is cool. Like, we need entrance music. Where's the pyrotechnics? We need some WWF stuff going on in here. All right, Jonathan, you got another one?
Yeah, I can give you another one. Lexi Ferguson from Iroquois. 23-point performance in a win over Jamestown. And once again, when you're scoring 20-30 points a game as a high school athlete, especially as a high school girls basketball player, like that is stuff of legend if you're able to do it very often. And it's kind of that stuff that has people looking at you when they're walking by you in the hallways and kind of tap you on the shoulder like, you're going somewhere. 23 points is a good performance, and then a close win, a 5-point win.
Yeah. Gosh, see, I did this again. I did this last week. I was talking about when we were talking about Mercyhurst, I gave the records and things like that. I got to figure out my tab situation here, because when I'm going through Mercyhurst prep, I gave the girls schedules, the girls record instead of the boys. I did the same thing last week. I was like, I got to knock. So I still haven't knocked this rust off. I got to figure out a better way to organize my tabs here. Mercyhurst prep boys, by the way, 4-4. And still getting into some league play. But I want to stick to girls basketball. And this is, again, no surprise. I'm not really pulling out the hot takes here this week, but Brooke Przybylski from Harbor Creek is another one like Michaela Presser-Palmer, who we could talk about every week.
Every week. Yep.
She puts up 20 against Lakeview in a 49-46 win. And they're another team, Harbor Creek, that is, who is just playing incredible. Let me double check my stat. Yes, okay, girls basketball. I got the right tab open.
Definitely goes to Harbor Creek.
Definitely goes to double checking. Yep, that's Harbor Creek. Yep, that's Brooke. Okay, good. She put up 20 points, but they're 9-1 this year. I mean, they're again having another great year on the girls' side of the ball.
Boys and girls, Harbor Creek basketball.
Yeah, and it has a lot to do with Przybylski. She's another one of those 1,000-point scorers that just you got to, wherever she is on the court, you got to pay attention to where she's at.
Yeah.
Paul, you got one more?
I got one more. Sticking with girls basketball, I'm going out to the West County. Paige Garrity of Fairview, another underclassman, sophomore, 16 points, led all scores for the Tigers amid their 54-20 victory versus the Hickory Hornets. They'll travel to Waterford for a meetup with the Fort LaBeouf Bison this Thursday. Fairview stumbled early, 2 losses, I think back-to-back, but this is a really, really well-coached team, very sound, especially defensively. And when the Garrity girls get going, a lot of G's there. Garrity girls get going. Didn't prepare that.
Man.
But you know what? You did it flawlessly.
That was pretty good. But this is a team that's going to be in it at the end of the year. This is a playoff caliber basketball team. They continue to get better and better, and they're led by a sophomore. So love to see that.
Gosh, so many young players stepping up this
isn't
year.
it?
Yeah. Hey, Paul, we haven't done this for a while, but you ready for a 2-minute drill?
I'm going to certainly try. I just had handled that just a moment ago, so we'll see how this goes.
Well, hopefully it sets us up for success. All right,
Yeah.
2 minutes. Ready? Go.
All right, let's start off with Gannon men's wrestling. Ranked 22nd nationally, they went 1-2 at the Glenville State Quad, narrowly falling to top teams Lander 18-15 and number 2 Glenville State 22-21 before dominating Grand Valley State 38-8. Standouts included Dorian Crosby, now 17-3, who won all 3 of his matches, and Jerry Echevarria, who's now 12-3, who upset Christian Davis, who was ranked number 2 nationally at 133 pounds. Let's stay with Gannon. The men's basketball team won 108-71 over Cal PA, extending their win streak now to 12 straight. Pace Prosser scored 27 points, including 9 3-pointers, while Tasman Godric added 20 and 13 rebounds. The Golden Knights, now 12-2, ranked 17th in the latest D2 CSC poll. They'll return to action January 8th at IUP. And finally, a three-peat of Gannon. They will induct 8 honorees into its Athletics Hall of Fame on February 8th. The class of 2025 includes legendary wrestling coach Don Henry and other standout athletes Larissa Anderson, softball, Annie Delmaline, water polo, Mary Mitchell, lacrosse, Marcus Jones, and Liam Nadler, football. Did you play with Nadler?
I did not.
Okay. Amanda Titterson, golf, and Joseph Westrick, cross country. Over to Mercyhurst. The women's hockey team swept St. Michael's with dominant back-to-back wins over the weekend. On Friday, they routed the Purple Knights 11-1 with goals from 10 different players, led by Regina Metzler's 2 goals and an assist. Then on Sunday, they followed up with a 6-0 shutout as Vanessa Upson scored twice and Jordan Madison made 10 saves. The Erie Otters are 0-2 in 2025, falling 3-1 to Kitchener on the road Friday before dropping a 7-5 game to Windsor in front of the home crowd Saturday night. They'll travel to Guelph this Wednesday before back-to-back home games this Friday and Saturday, and I got to fit this one in. The Cleveland Cavaliers are 31-4, winners of 10 straight. They now hold sole possession of first place in the Eastern Conference and a 1-game lead over the Oklahoma City Thunder for the best record in the NBA. The Cavs travel to OKC this Wednesday night for what should be a barn burner.
Every week, I'm like, we need to fit the Cavs. We need to fit the Cavs.
That's why I wanted to fit it in. I was like, this
in.
is the week, man. And they play OKC on Wednesday. Absolutely tune in for that one.
We need to get Sean Pebbles back in.
We need to
here.
get Pebbles
Yes,
back
for
in.
sure.
We
It
need,
is now post-Christmas. I am starting to pay attention to basketball.
yes, we need Pebbles back in. We need Bednar to catch us up on some Otters news. I mean, every week
There's
we
constantly
say
a lot going on.
Yes.
We can't fit it in
No.
to 45 minutes
this.
airtime.
No. And when you look at it like relevancy, like we had to lead with Penn State, Notre Dame,
Mhm.
college football playoffs, first ever 12-team playoff. Penn State's there. I mean, yeah, so many great stories. And I do, before we head into our break, I do want to talk about Gannon men's basketball for a second, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm surprised by this. And I mean, no offense to head coach Easton Bozzoli. He's doing a phenomenal job at Gannon right now, but I think I expected a little bit of a step back. That story last year with Fee coming in and just that incredible run they went on last year, you thought, okay, we're going to take a step back here. Bozzoli, who was assistant under Fee, looks like he's picking up right where his friend and former head coach Jordan Fee.
I was
left
kind of
off.
both sides on this. I felt the same way. I was like, there's got to be a drop-off. Fee
Yeah.
is so good. He's here for 1 year and he's back to Division I.
Yep.
But at the same time, I was like, he handpicked his replacement, and like Fee makes very few bad decisions. And
yeah.
15 minutes after he resigned and took another job, he said, look, this is your guy.
Yeah.
Take this guy. So like he picked the coach, told everybody, and he was right again.
Yeah.
And the style of basketball that the men's team play, the hockey line changes every 2 minutes.
Yep.
Five in, 5 out, and they are running. Think Coach Carter. We're just going to outrun teams and play just fast-paced basketball. They're a fun team to watch.
Yeah.
That was what I was gonna go to. It's the system. When
Yep.
you run that system and you run it well, and you have a coach that understands that system and someone who learned it under Fee, who learned it from great coaches who taught it to him. Once you run that system and you implement it, that system basically runs itself. So they're doing really good things, and I'm expecting them to continue that going forward.
Get out to the Hag and catch a basketball game. All right.
No, they're done at the Hag. They're back
Oh, that's
down at
right.
Hammermill or whatever it's called now.
Hi,
Mark.
Hi, Mark. I'll mess it up later. That was an North Shore Rewind brought to you by Dustin's Funeral Home. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill. Welcome back. Listen, I said this off air. If you listen to this show expecting organization and structure, this isn't the show for you. Like Rich said, we come in with a plan, or maybe it was Paul, I don't know. We come in with a plan. That plan lasts right before we turn the mics on. Then it goes out the window.
Mhm.
Oh. Anyway, welcome back.
Overreaction Monday time.
Welcome back. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill. Yes, it is Overreaction Monday.
Loud noises.
So, I did that on purpose. All right, so let's jump into the first one. All right, first overreaction. The Buffalo Bills will fall into a trap game against the Denver Broncos this weekend and lose in the first round of the playoffs. Overreaction, yay or nay?
Oh, I'm going to say this is an overreaction because I think the Bills are the better team, although the Broncos are hot right now.
Yeah.
I guess it wouldn't surprise me, but I'm going to say overreaction. I think the Bills are the better team. Josh Allen's the front runner for the MVP, in my humble opinion.
Sure.
I think the Bills get out of this round.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going overreaction as well. Like you said, the Bills are the better team. This should not happen, and they've got aspirations to go a lot further than the first round of the playoffs, and they've got the roster to actually get it done this year. I don't think they're going to stumble against the Broncos.
Yeah, there's a podcast or radio host that I like to follow, Dave Damashek, and he calls it the curse of Sposta. Teams fall to the curse of Sposta.
I've heard that, yeah.
So Paul Bills, if you listen to Joel's show, he's the guest laureate. He is a big Denver fan.
Yeah.
Said, sorry, Cincinnati fans, Denver gets to go to Buffalo next week and lose.
There you go.
I don't know. I'm worried. We got to keep. I got a bunch that I want to get to, but I am kind of nervous about this. Like, I'm not sure that it's such an overreaction. What does Denver have to lose in this game? Because Knicks can just
They're
come
playing
in,
with house money. They
care
shouldn't be here.
100%. They could come in. Knicks has looked phenomenal the last couple weeks.
Yes.
Peyton has that offense running really well in Denver. And don't get me wrong, I think it's more likely than not that the Bills will win this game. I mean, they're the second seed coming into the playoffs. Allen is playing his best year. He will come up second into the MVP voting to Lamar Jackson, but I don't know. I think that's I'm worried about them in this game. Denver, I think, is just coming in carefree, great defense with nothing to lose. All right, next one. If the Steelers are one and done in the playoffs, Mike Tomlin will not be the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers for the 2025 season. Jonathan.
Overreaction.
You say that with such
much disgust in his voice. It's overreaction.
It's just like, yes, you can have your problems with Mike Tomlin, and you can say that, okay, once he locks up his 500 season and make sure it's not a losing record, that he kind of mails it in, or that he's not as good of a coach. Mike Tomlin has been one of the most consistent coaches in the NFL for a very long time. It's going to take more than a first-round knockout coming off of a year where you had Russell Wilson as your starting quarterback for him to lose his job, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, I say overreaction. We saw in Cleveland that Ken Dorsey ended up the scapegoat, so the head coach could keep his job. I don't know who falls in Pittsburgh. I don't know if that comes down on Terrell Austin because the defense has been better than the offense. I think Arthur Smith was the right guy to bring in to run this specific offense for this specific team. So I don't know if you can fire that guy either. It'll be interesting in Pittsburgh, but I think it's an overreaction to say that Tomlin loses his job.
It would be crazy. I think Pittsburgh fans, the Pittsburgh faithful, are calling for it. There's a
very fickle group, though. I'll be honest with you.
No, you're not lying there. Adam Crowley from 93.7 The Fan out of Pittsburgh. Great stuff going on over there. Put a poll out this morning. Should the Steelers move on from Tomlin? Over 1,000 votes, 80% said yes, 19% or 20% said no. So the Pittsburgh faithful. But the thing is, the Rooneys, unlike
always like fire everybody,
right, 100%.
Exactly.
And unlike the Jets or the Patriots, the Rooneys don't really care what the fans are saying in Pittsburgh. They're just going to do what they think is best. So I agree. I think somebody will lose their job. It's not going to be Tomlin. Coach Bradford said this last week on Gem City. He said it's going to be Tomlin's choice to leave whenever Tomlin's ready to go. Coach Bradford also gave the hot take that Tomlin's going to step down on his own at the end of the season, but we'll see.
Interesting.
We'll see how that goes. All right. Next overreaction. With a new OC coming to Cleveland, Deshaun Watson will be the MVP of the 2025 NFL season. I couldn't even get through that one.
Overreaction. That's the wildest take I've ever heard on this station.
Yeah, that one's pretty bad. I'm not going to overreaction.
And Isaac's not even here. So nothing. We don't think there's a sliver.
Not even a sliver now.
Okay. That's fine.
I'm trying to think of other things that MVP could stand for, but none of them are FCC compliant.
Okay. All right. Pay attention because this one's a big one.
Okay.
All right. Now, the bottom half of the league is the set. The NFL draft order is set, right? So with the Tennessee Titans taking Cam Ward out of Miami with the first overall pick, the Cleveland Browns, which there's already been news rumblings that they prefer Cam Ward. With the second overall pick, the Cleveland Browns select Shedeur Sanders from the University of Colorado. But Daddy Dion comes to the rescue to block the selection, a la Archie Manning with Eli.
Yep.
Instead, they draft Shedeur. They trade him to the Giants for a boatload of picks, including the 2025 third overall pick, so number 3, and a 2026 first-round pick and other things going on in there. Then with the third overall pick, they select Heisman winner Travis Hunter from Colorado to play wide receiver and cornerback because they need all the help they can get. They make him the face of the new stadium posters in Brook Park. And then with 2 first-round picks in 2026, they draft Deshaun Watson's replacement.
There's a lot going on there.
It's a lot of moving pieces.
You're welcome. Listen, that's for shutting down my Tomlin one so quickly.
So I guess I'm going to say overreaction because I don't think that the trade goes down that way. I do think the Giants end up with Shedeur.
Yeah.
I don't think Cleveland drafts him and then trades him. I think they're just going to swap picks. But yeah, there's a price to go up from 3 to 2. I do think Cleveland ends up selecting not a quarterback. I don't know if it's going to be Travis Hunter or not. I guess to your question, I would say to your statement, I would say overreaction. There's a lot going on there, but I guess to say Cleveland doesn't end up with Shedeur.
Yeah, I'm going overreaction. That's just a lot of things that have to happen in a very specific way for that to play out. Are we 100% sold?
If he ends up getting this right, though, that's
Matt.
We're gonna come back to it.
But are we 100% sure that Tennessee wants that number 1 pick, or are they potentially shipping?
I think
or
Oakland tries to get up there
around?
too.
Yeah, shopping that pick around to get, like you said, a haul of draft picks in the future and everything. My Giants. Don't get me started on the 45-33 win over the Colts that did us absolutely zero favors for keeping the number 1 pick.
I could feel your melting happening in the text thread.
So they put themselves in a position where they have to trade up if they want to guarantee that they get a guy like Shedeur or a guy like Cam Ward. But I'm just not sold on Tennessee wanting to keep that pick. I feel like there's a lot of value in that pick.
Oh, I think if somebody if an Oakland comes up and gives them a boatload of picks for Shedeur Sanders, I absolutely think you're right there too. It's early to, draft talk is already just starting. I love the draft. I know Paul's the same way. There's a lot of stuff coming out. Tennessee does kind of like Cam Ward, but if a team like Oakland gives them a boatload of picks, somebody going to jump up for Shedeur. I agree. I don't think Cleveland takes a quarterback there because they're going to try and go all in with Watson again. It'll be a crazy offseason to say the least, but you watch on draft day. I'm going to send you, and I told you so. That's it. Erie, that's it for us today. The chaos is back here in 2025. Thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Nick Gartman, signing off for Paul Adamczak, Rich Smith, Jonathan Williams. If you missed anything, go back and check it out on the podcast. That's it. We're done. Have fun.